kind of need to know on possibly a daily, half-daily basis what's going on with the weather. I don't know why. It's just interesting to me. And I suspect that there's a lot of people out there who just kind of want to know what's going on. Phil, would that be right?
Yeah, basically it is. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, basically I always think the weather's like a Netflix season or series that you're watching, and you binge watch it. You watch it every day, and you think,
Yes.
well, even though yesterday's episode was kind of boring, I'm kind of interested to see if tomorrow's episode is going to be a little more interesting. And it's this never-ending series that just never stops, and yeah, goes through boring periods where you don't necessarily want to watch it every day, and then other days you're on there every hour, basically going, now
Yeah.
what's happening? Now what's happening? So that's what I always think about. As a weather forecaster, I'm just telling you the synopsis of what tomorrow's episodes are about.
I love that comparison. I've never heard it said like that before, but I would say that that is true. It is the Netflix episodes that just keeps on giving every day. I tell you what.
And you
Hey,
tell all your friends about it. You keep
yes.
telling your friends, oh, you got to see this tomorrow.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Certainly a conversation starter wherever you are. So let's talk the weather at the moment, because in parts of the country it's been very dry indeed. And I'm wondering if that means in some parts we're looking at drought.
Yeah, we do have drought, but drought is you measure drought one way and you announce it another way.
Okay.
So let me keep it simple. Meteorological drought, that's when over a certain amount of time there's been a lack of rain, and eventually it reaches a criteria where it says you're dry, you're very dry, you're extremely dry, or you're in drought or extreme drought. So there's kind of
Wow.
like five
Okay.
different sections, which all sound a bit the same, but they go up on a scale. But then you've got the local council, the local authorities, and the government who all get involved, and they might have a discussion saying, even though we might not have a technical drought, we've got no water in the rivers, no rain forecast, so we're going to announce that we've got some drought conditions here. So there are two different areas. There's the
Okay.
meteorological version, and then there's the more political announcement of one. So I'm just mentioning that because there are some regions that have got drought announced, which may not align with everything I'm saying here. But basically, to keep it simple, the western side of both main islands, but in particular the western side of the North Island, they are the driest parts of the country. And we have technical drought now around the Kaipara Harbour, which is affecting Northland and Auckland. And Auckland is one of the driest parts of the country, along with Taranaki at the moment. And also King Country, I'd put them right up there too.
Okay. I mean, it hasn't rained for a very long time, or if it has, it's just been sort of a slight misty rain, which I experienced yesterday, and I was really grateful for, to be honest. It just meant that I didn't have to water the garden. But what does it look like over the next few weeks? Because you know what, we're in autumn. It is quite a settled time. Can we expect to see any rain in this time period?
So, yeah, autumn is typically when we do start to see some breaks around the edges of the high pressure zones, and we then tend to start to get more windy westerlies coming in, and windy westerlies can then dry things out again. So, yes, you might get a little more rain, but on the other side, you've got a hot wind that blows for 4 days around it. That might undo the 20 millimeters that just fell. So, we might not be out of the woods just yet. It's also worth noting, I'm a gardener. I live in Auckland these days. I was watering my garden back in August, September of last year. So the
Mm,
end of
mm.
winter, start of spring, I was already noticing plants were dying in the pot plants on the deck, and I had to start watering. And I've been watering a lot this summer. Now they're talking about water restrictions. Please don't use your water as much. So I'm already now, I don't want to be the weather forecaster that gets caught watering his garden
No
when you're not supposed
way.
to. So I'm looking for rain, and my lawn is dying. So I know that the farmers who live in Northland and Waikato surrounding where I am are also in the same situation. So as far as rain's concerned, we need a tropical rainmaker to break this for the north of the country. The south of the country is more likely to get rain relief from cold fronts as we go through the next couple of weeks or months. But the north of the country is a little different. We need a rainmaker for that out of the tropics. We are possibly seeing something coming up in a week or two, but it's too far out to lock in. So all I'm saying to people is it's likely to get drier before it gets wetter, but we are still seeing some silver linings on those dry rain clouds at the moment.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, Phil? Because when it rains too much, we complain. When it is too dry, we complain. I don't think we're ever satisfied. And certainly over the last little while, I've been looking at my forecast, the long range forecast, going, goodness gracious, could it just rain? And if it's going to rain, could it rain at this time? Because that would be very helpful to me. We're funny like that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. The 2 millimeters that's forecast, coming up for some areas in the next week. You see the rain icon for the first time in weeks, and it's
Yeah.
2.3 millimeters. You're like, that's nothing. If you're in need of rain, anything less than 10 millimeters will evaporate. It's only good if you're collecting rainwater, then 10 millimeters is actually quite a bit. But otherwise, yeah, it's not necessarily going to do a lot for us. And everyone's different about what they want at this time of the year. But usually by the time we're getting into the middle of March, we do start to see some cracks in the system with our summer weather pattern. And so hopefully we'll start to see more of that. But you're right, 2 years ago, just after Cyclone Gabrielle and the Auckland floods, I was getting people freaking out about any mention of the word rain. They were triggered by it, obviously for good reason. Millions of dollars of damage, lives lost. And here we are just 2 short years later, and people are going, they're desperate for rain and they want cyclones. Someone said the other week we would love an ex-cyclone because it brings so much rain. That would have been unheard of 2 years ago after Cyclone Gabrielle. So, yeah, that's New Zealand for you, though.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, it is always a joy to speak with you. I'm sure there are times where people are like, Phil, you haven't given us the right forecast, but, what can you do as a weather forecaster? Of course, people can check out your work and the work of Weather Watch by heading to your website. Is that the best place to go if they want to find out what's going on with the weather over the next little while?
Yeah, that's right. We've got weatherwatch.co.nz. We've got ruralweather.co.nz. That's very helpful for growers and farmers. And then we've got our app, Weatherwatch NZ, and that's actually a combination of both of those websites in one. And so they're all free to access, but the app does have paid upgrades if you want to set your alerts and get lots of warnings for your different farms and properties that you might be lucky enough to have.
Yeah, Phil, thank you so much for being a part of the show today, and no doubt we'll catch up again soon. Thanks again.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us on Rhema. Now, if you found value in today's content, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel with the subscribe button. This really helps us to continue to produce more quality content for you. And hey, if you'd like to stay updated and never miss any of our future videos, ring that notification bell as well. Don't forget to follow us on our other socials, which are in the description below. And until then, stay tuned.